Many thanks, Austin. To discuss this and other developments around kidnapping across the country, we're joined by security expert Salaudeen Hashim. Salaudeen, thank you for joining us. Are there details or updates to the abduction of the 20 students you might be privy to as a security analyst? Any demand for ransom, perhaps?
All right, thank you very much for having me. So far, there has not been ransom yet, but I think this development goes beyond the mere call for ransom. These recent threats or targets for health workers and particular professionals suggest one single thing within the security balance, that there is a deficit of response workers within the camp of terrorists, and they require those services to help. And incidentally, just a few weeks ago, I had done an analysis as to various camps across the country. One of the things that you'll find is the dire need of medical help. And these guys believe that the best way to manage this is for them to begin to find some kind of medical services. And to do so is for them to target those who are able to provide them with such. And I believe what we saw recently, just the Dr. Ganiat incident, and now 20 health workers, the trend is not just casual. There were some particular reasons where this is also on the increase. Unfortunately, we have a security architecture that does not actually work on pattern to develop some level of security response or management. This also should have suggested in Kaduna, we had Dr. Ganiat, and of course, we had the other professionals like the judge who was also taken. And again, this particular incident, it tells very clearly that the intelligence community is not doing sufficiently enough to be able to deal with what we have currently that is confronting the system. And something must be done. This is an emerging concern that there are special targets for professionals, particularly those health workers. And this tells very clearly that something is amiss, and the lack of security will continue to deter the level of mobility of services across the country. And this is very unfortunate.
It is indeed. Let's stay with the road that these students took. That road in the past 6 years, reports indicate, has been notorious for kidnapping. In just about 6 weeks ago, we understand the management team of the Benue State Polytechnic was also kidnapped around that axis. That's aside from all the other stories that we get to hear. Basically, what I'm trying to find out from you is, what do you say to those who argue there seemed to be a conspiracy of silence over the rising tide of kidnapping around the country? We seem to talk, but actions don't seem to show that a lot is being done.
Yeah, I mean, it is particularly because of the political economy of insecurity. That is the reason why you find those unfortunate reluctance from the security partners or partners to make those sufficient and adequate response. One of the things that, like I mentioned earlier, the issue of pattern, that highway for a very long time has been a den for bandits. And then, of course, you know too well that issues of banditry has its own far-reaching consequences, particularly in an environment where economy is also on a nosedive. And we know too well that having had a pattern on that road for so long, I would have expected some level of additional surveillance or some level of deployment to that particular axis to be able to allow travelers and citizens to move around without any fear. Just recently, we knew the cases of a reverend, and we have seen our head cases of a rector and his delegates also moving on that road, who were also taken. So it is very important to understand that what we call ungoverned spaces is actually a negligence on the side of the state. If the state abandons its responsibility to protect, because that is the only reason why the entire citizens have therefore given up their own rights to the state to be able to protect them. So if we have given up that right, it therefore becomes a duty on the side of the state to ensure that there is no anarchy, and anarchy will not reign by mere ensuring that you do what is required. The first order of the state is actually to protect lives and property. And where you fail and fall short, then again, it means that something needs to be done. And before I stop, I'd just like to say that the issue of security is interactive. Food security is something that also needs to be taken care of within the axis. Within the first quarter of 2023 and 2024, 66.6 million to 100 million persons have moved astronomically into food insecure corridor. And
true. I mean, it is multifaceted, and I wish we had more time to talk about this, but there's something I'd like you to speak quickly on. For those who it is imperative that they travel through road, considering the economic constraints around, what would be your advice as a security analyst, as some sort of caution that they should bear in mind or take before they embark on road journeys across Nigeria?
Yeah, precaution is very important. You must actually scan, get intelligence, find out from those who are either within or across those axes to check how safe those roads are. Don't late at night, don't travel too early in the morning. Ensure that when you are traveling, you travel very light, and ensure that again you don't travel too attractive. When you are traveling, be sure to be very casual. Don't flash cash. Don't flash heavy devices, and don't be too comfortable to discuss in the vehicle and discuss some businesses and all of that. All of these things put together are quite attractive, and they could make you very vulnerable. And it is very important to also ensure that before you undertake any trip, please, and this is very important, is to ensure that you do not give anybody ahead of time information regarding your movement. That in itself is something that is also very important.
Salaudeen, as always, thank you for the insights.
Thank you very much for having me.